Hare Rama, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Say. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवधि की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्ति की जय. All glories to the assembled God. All glories to the assembled God. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, good day, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to be back in Africa. I think I'll come there pretty soon. I think we can go to Ghana without any restrictions, right?
Yes.
Are Nigeria open also?
Nigeria is not open. Even if it's open, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
safe.
open, Maharaj. Nigeria is open.
Safe?
Nigeria is open, Maharaj.
Really, the borders are open, huh? For foreign?
No, no,
It's open.
only immediate
open.
flight is not open.
It's open but not safe. Now, can only go to Ghana or Ivory Coast, not Nigeria. For now.
Yeah, Nigeria is. They seem to be doing pretty good in a few places. Okay, so this is some very wonderful verses by Queen Kunti. Prabhupada, I think twice, if I remember right, when I was in LA, Prabhupada would come. From wherever we were in the Bhagavatam, he would go back to the prayers with me, at least once, maybe twice. So very important. Also shows that we're not against women. If they're devotees, then they don't have 20, small brains, and they don't have any inferiorness. That's only on the material plane that they're weaker. That's all. Generally, the average woman is the strongest man is much stronger than the strongest woman. But many women are stronger than most men. And smarter. Okay, so let's read the verse. I'm going to put it up again. One 8:32. Kechid ahu ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyas yan bhavaye malayas yeva chandanam Kechidahurajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasya vaivaya malasyeva chandanam. Does anyone else chant, or how do we do this?
Kachit ahu ajam jatam punyas lokas yaketaye yado priyas yavaye malasya ye vachandanam.
Keshirao ajam jatam punyas lokasya kritaye yado priyasya vavaye malas yasyeva chandanam.
Nobody else.
Okay. Kechit.
Kachit,
Someone.
someone.
Ahu
Ahu says
Ajam,
ajam,
the unborn.
the unborn.
Jatam,
Jatam,
being born.
being born.
Punya,
Punya,
Slokasya, of the great
Lokasya,
pious king.
of the great pious king.
Kirtaye,
Kitaye,
for glorifying.
for glorifying.
Yado,
Yado,
King Yadu.
King Yadu,
Priyasya,
Priyasya,
of the deer.
of the deer.
Anvavaye,
Anuvavaye,
in the family of.
in the family of
Malayasya,
Malayasya, Maya,
Hill.
Malaya Hills.
Iba,
Eva,
as.
as
Chandanam,
Chandanam,
sandalwood.
sandalwood.
Translation. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
No
Purport.
translation.
By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Because the Lord's appearance in this material world is bewildering, there are different opinions about the birth of the unborn. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he takes his birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creation, and he is unborn. So there cannot be any denial of the birth of the unborn because he himself establishes the truth. But still, there are different opinions as to why he takes his birth. So there cannot be any denial. It is also declared in Bhagavad Gita, he appears by his own internal potency to reestablish the principles of religion and to protect the pious and annihilate the impious. That is the mission of the appearance of the unborn. Still, it is said that the Lord is there to glorify the pious King Yudhisthira. Lord Sri Krishna certainly wanted to establish his kingdom of the Pandavas for the good of all the world. When there is a pious king ruling over the world, people are happy. When the ruler is impious, the people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious, and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of a democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them. Therefore, they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness. Maharaj Nala was also celebrated as a great pious king, but he had no connection with Lord Krishna. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhisthira is meant here to be glorified by Lord Krishna. The Lord had already glorified King Yadu, having taken birth in his family. Although he is known as Yadava, Yadavira, Yadunandana, etc., he's always independent of such obligations. He is just like sandalwood that grows in the Malaya hills. Trees can grow anywhere and everywhere, yet because the sandalwood trees grow mostly in the area of the Malaya hills, the name sandalwood and the Malaya hills are interrelated. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is ever unborn like the sun, and yet he appears as the sun rises in the eastern horizon, as the sun is never the sun of the eastern horizon. So the Lord is no one's son, but he is the father of everything that be. Om Agana Timirandasya Ganangana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Cha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarane Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tvishe Namaha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. All right, so Krishna is, actually there's several verses here where Kunti is mentioning how bewildering Krishna is and how many different opinions are as to why Krishna comes. The thing is, they're all true. Whatever reason anybody is giving, it's true. Krishna comes to glorify the Yadu. He does that automatically. He glorified Yudhisthira. He made him the king. He pleases the devotees. And it goes on and on. I don't want to jump ahead and spoil the next classes, but, you know. So, and why is he called unborn, but then he takes birth? That's another mystery. Krishna's Aja. He's not born. He's always existed. He didn't come into being and he won't go out. Everything exists. Krishna existed before everything else, which, you know, any kind of religious people in the world, they know that, but they don't understand it so much. But, you know, I remember we had a song when I used to go to church, for he is and ever shall be, you know, as he was in the beginning and he'll always be. But nobody ever discussed it that I ever heard. They would sing these nice songs, but then the sermons, at least where I went, they're just boring politics or something. So Krishna, he appears of his own sweet will, and whatever he does is because he wants to do it. But he accomplishes with whatever Krishna does, he accomplishes many things at the same time. So here, we just list a few things. The unborn, he appeared to take birth, but then when we read about how he appeared, he didn't take birth, you know. He just, like, birth is usually a big mess, and there's no indication of that. Devaki was apparently pregnant with Krishna in the womb, and when it's described, you know, he entered the heart of Vasudeva, and Vasudeva transferred him to the heart of Devaki. It wasn't a dirty, messy thing like normally babies. Woman is pregnant, and of course they like being pregnant, but there's a lot of trouble to it. But the birth is generally quite painful, and then there's a big mess, and the baby comes out all covered with blood and pus and, you know, mucus. And they usually have to do something to make it start breathing and cry. And the mother there's a lot of pain. A lot of men don't realize, but they say that the pain of childbirth is so intense that no man could tolerate it. They would die or something. It's very, very intense pain. But it's also pleasure because They get a baby out of it. Tapasya. So others say it took place to, please King Yadu, because he appeared in that family. Sandalwood grows in many places, but at least previously it was mostly in this area of India called Malaya Hills. It must be somewhere near Jagannath Puri, because that's where Madhavendra Puri went to get sandalwood. I think most of it still comes from there. They used to grow in Malaysia also, but now they grow oil palms. So Krishna, he comes, yada yada yadharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhutanam dharmasya tadatmanam jajamyam. Whenever there's a rise in irreligion or a decrease in religion. So at the moment, that's the case. So people will question sometimes, well, where is Krishna? Why doesn't he come? He says he comes. Just look around you, how much irreligion there is. Everywhere is illegitimate activities increasing. Prabhupada said he came, he's here in the Hare Krishna movement, in the Maha Mantra. The incarnation of the age is the Maha Mantra. So the devotees can understand that and know that this is Krishna. So they become very enlivened to spread the holy name, to chant the holy name here, there, and everywhere, knowing it's Krishna. I know every time I got on a radio or whatever in Nigeria, they would ask, what are you going to do? How can you help the poverty? And we always said by chanting, because only God can solve all these problems. And the holy name is God. The holy name is Krishna himself. So if we're chanting sincerely with the desire to, elevate people, to give people the holy name and connect people with Krishna and connect ourselves with Krishna, then it's having its great effect anyway. But we'll realize it more and more. The world will realize more and more too. We have experience everywhere where somebody turns against us. It's because these are the demons. And they're afraid that their livelihood will be taken away from them. Their whiskey business or their meat business or whatever they're doing. I had an experience one time when we were distributing books in the Chicago airport. There was one undercover policeman. He used to harass me all the time. I was the so-called leader of the party. And he would stand behind me and say, "Hare Krishna, don't take the book. He's wearing a wig, And I used to just joke with him and tell people, yeah, this is my brother. He always likes to joke around. So one time I went downstairs, we had lockers and we keep the books there. So we had to keep going down there to get more books. And he was sitting in a restaurant that didn't have a wall facing the hallway, like they do. And he was sitting with some other fellow. And I said, well, Joe, how you doing? Good to see you. And his friend just started screaming, get out of here, Hare Krishna, get away, leave me. I said, well, what's wrong? Why are you so upset? He said, this is my life. I sell whiskey and meat. This is my restaurant and you people are against it. Get out of my face, So Prabhupada said that's why they hate us. They're so afraid that the regulated principles might spread. And then they can't imagine how they can have an economy without these pillars of meat eating and gambling and illicit sex and intoxication. These are the four pillars of modern society. The four pillars of good society is austerity and cleanliness. What else? Austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, These are the pillars. We need 4 pillars. But they're trying their best to knock them down. And people are unclean, untruthful, and intoxicated, gambling everywhere, prostitution everywhere, being promoted more and more. The illusory energy of the Lord is acting so strongly. So we want to learn to be in the mood of the very advanced devotees like Srila Prabhupada. He's a perfect example how he lived. And there's a prayer by Prahlad Maharaj that's in the 5th canto, chapter 18, verse 9. And this is the ideal Vaishnava prayer. We know that Prahlad, we might have remember from the Sringa Chaturdasi, Prahlad prayed, that I don't want to go back to Godhead until everyone else goes. I see many holy people that go by themselves somewhere and they don't care about other people, but I want to see everybody, So this is a nice prayer. He's asking Lord Nrsingadev, Swastyastu Vishvasva Kalat Prasiddhitam. Prahlad prayed, Ayantam Bhutani Swiyam Shivam Mitodiya Manas Chabadram Budget. Keep moving it. How am I supposed to read it? I was reading off my screen, but Manas Chabadram Bajatad Adoksajay Avasyatam No Matir Apyahoituki. Very beautiful, isn't it? Swasyastu Vishvasva Kala Prasidatam Dayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitodiya Manascha Badram Bajatad Adhoksajay Avasyatam No Matir Apyahoituki. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. This is an important point. Mostly we're thinking of my own welfare. And if there's someone who can help me, then that's good. If someone's in my way, then, tough luck for them. But they're thinking of helping others if they've accepted Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. That's in the purport. The Vaishnava can do that. He's praying for everybody. The gentle, the envious, the mischievous, like the Goswamis. They were loved by everyone. Criminals, farmers, great scholars, Mayavadis. Everybody would become attracted to them because they were never envious. Envy is our big enemy. Lust, anger, greed, and envy. Envy is what brought us here. Why can't I enjoy? Why can't I be in the center of everything? Why is it always Krishna? Let me try to, be in the center. So we get to come here. And we're frustrated. But the tendency is there. So those who are very fortunate, we're all trying, to become Krishna conscious, to transcend this. And the more we can have just faith and love, if we have love for Krishna, Prabhupada said, like now everybody's worried, I don't know, in Africa, there's COVID and it spreads and, this is how things work. But if we have love for Krishna, that will spread, it's contagious. If you love Krishna and you meet somebody, they'll start to love Krishna automatically. And then it'll spread and spread and spread. If you're chanting and out of love for the holy name, love for Krishna, and love for all living entities because Krishna is in their heart. This will help change the world. So little by little, we're doing, a few devotees here, a few devotees there, but the whole world is waiting for for us, wherever we are, to bring Lord Chaitanya to the people, to bring the Sankirtan movement, to connect people with the Goloka Vrindavan, Golokara Prema Dana, Harinama Sankirtana. It's, the Sankirtan movement came down from Goloka. And we're connected when we're performing the Sankirtan, Harinam, Kirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name. Then it's the Rasa dance. Lord Chaitanya's Kirtan party is the Rasa dance, same thing. It's a modern version because in this day and age, you could never do like Krishna did with so many women, and it would be a disaster and people imitating, and people raping the women or something. But Lord Chaitanya, all his Vrindavan Gopi associates became men and they joined the Sankirtan movement. So we are very fortunate to be connected with that, and we should be thanking Krishna constantly and thanking Prabhupada, thanking whoever helped us. Because if we think about it, so many devotees have helped us to be devotees, to become devotees, to stay devotees, to be able to do some service. By ourselves, what can we do? Can't do very much. So this is just a simple request of Prabhupada. Said repeatedly, there's no other hope for the world except the Sankirtan movement. So if we really believe that, we really have faith, that all the problems of the world are simply due to, forgetfulness of Krishna and trying to be Krishna. Most of the population, even the so-called religionists, they're trying to become famous, they're trying to get some mystic power, they're trying to get money, whatever they're after. And that's what they're offering people. They're not offering love of Godhead. Only Prabhupada came and offered love of Godhead. Completely unique contribution. You won't find any other Bhagavad Gita that's, unless it's some Prabhupada disciple that's talking about that. See a lot of people teaching Bhagavad Gita, you'll become like Arjuna, you can awaken the Arjuna within you and you can win, you can conquer the world, you'll be the number one in your industry, you'll be this, you'll be that, and just pay me $300 for a few days class. And they get a lot of people. Okay, let's see if any questions, comments. Haribol, can you make juice? You gotta put the machine. Haribol?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for your nice class. Anybody has question, kindly raise your hand up, please. Guru Maharaj, I have one question. I keep asking some speakers, hoping that there will be a speaker that have read it or know where it is stated in the scripture. The question has been, everybody is going through the reaction of their activities in the previous life. So Queen Kunti, what makes her to suffer these calamities? Who was she in the past life?
Who was Kunti in her past life?
Yes.
I have never heard anything about that. Obviously, she's like a mother to Krishna, so I never saw anything about who Kunti was in Krishna Lila, in previous life. I would assume she's just an eternal, Kunti, like the Pandavas. They're always with Krishna in the material world, even though they're completely transcendental. Prabhupada said they're not in Goloka, but they're with Krishna all the time, pure devotees in the material world in different incarnations and always with Krishna. So since she's one of them, that's what I can't find anywhere. I've never seen any discussion of that or anything. Okay?
Yes, Gurudev. Thank you.
You have any mice in your beard there, or cockroaches or anything? Huh?
Gurudev, what do you say?
It's such a big beard. Are there any animals in there?
I have
Sometimes they,
a second question based on the prayers of Queen Kunti. When we read some Prabhupada books, we see some Vedic statements concerning women, but we also see how Kunti is making so much powerful prayers. Once Prabhupada said that women are less intelligent, but this kind of a prayer doesn't show that a woman is less intelligent. Is it not somehow contradictory, or I get it confusing sometimes?
well, I was mentioned it a little bit, but Prabhupada says everybody's less intelligent. Sri, Sudra, Dvija, Bandhu, Nam. And in Kali Yuga, everyone's born a Sudra. But, the women just pick out that he said women. But this is Kali Yuga. But he also said women are more pious. They can surrender more easily. They have advantages. And also that when they're devotees, then those things don't count anymore. The material qualification, the material position. And then, like there's a lot of women who understand it. And what he's talking about intelligence is women can be too much easily controlled by emotions, and they can be cheated and exploited by men very easily. So that, not that, women graduate, get PhDs and never top one in their class and stuff. The material intelligence they can have, and spiritual, if they're fortunate. So that's why if you look in the database, you'll find something that says apparent contradictions. There's so many things that seem contradictory, but even Yasoda would get confused, but then she'd remember Krishna's pastimes and then everything would make sense. So like here, Kunti's giving all these reasons, and there's 3 or 4 verses. This might be the first one. Why Krishna appeared and what different people say why he appeared. They're all true. But not just one of them. All of them are true, but then there's even more to it because he wants to. Out of his causeless compassion and mercy on the fallen souls, Krishna comes. All right? Does that help
Yes,
you?
good. Yes, Gurudev. Keshava Prabhu has a question. Keshava, please unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances, glories to Prabhupada. I just posted a chat room because another devotee was asking me why women are considered to be a lower birth, just based on what he read in the Gita. So I was presenting that question for clarification.
It's a good question. Maybe because they're, I don't want to speculate about it. Because they're not, there's so many great women in our history, even in Vedic history. And Prabhupada never, ever, looked down on a woman. Anyone who came to have the slightest interest in Krishna, he treated everyone completely equally. He never thought, this is a woman, she'll never understand. In fact, like he taught deity worship, mostly very few people got personal instruction except Jamuna. Jananivas had some, but Jamuna had so much personal instruction from Prabhupada about deity worship. So, he didn't at all, but people think like that, throughout history and society, men even though they're attached to women and they want sex and they want wives and children, they consider the men to be superior and they mistreat women in that way. It doesn't mean that they are, I think. It's just a body. We don't, the bodies are all just temporary. All bodies are ignorant. No material body is good. They're all bad. Does that help?
Thank you, Gurudev. Our next question is from Narayane Devidas. Narayane, please unmute your mic.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna. Nice Jagannath behind you.
Yeah. My question is, I want to know why Lord Brahma did not recognize Krishna when Krishna came. And what amazed me is the time that Krishna was appearing, all the demigods, everybody, they were paying obeisances to the Lord when the Lord appeared. So how come they all forget, Indra forget, Lord Brahma forget, they all didn't recognize when the Lord appeared?
Sometimes it's Krishna's arrangement so that the leelas can happen. So Lord Brahma, when he stole the cows and everything, supposedly he was testing to see, who is this guy claiming to be so special? And, how can this be my Lord and Master? He instantly realized he was wrong, but, Brahma's still a jiva soul, so he can be bewildered. Brahma and Indra both have to work in the mode of passion, so they, sometimes get overwhelmed by that. And then Krishna corrects them.
Thank you, Gurudev.
But when I become bewildered or you become bewildered, it may not be like Krishna's arrangement for some Leela. It's more likely that it's because we're just in Maya. We don't want to recognize Krishna. All right?
Yes, Gurudev.
Because you can see by the prayers that both Indra and Brahma offered after the incident, how much they understood Krishna. But still Krishna's Maya, he can cover anybody over for whatever reason he wants. So in both these cases, it was, for Leela. Govardhan Leela is one of the most beloved Leelas of all Krishna's Leelas. Right? So Indra was instrumental to make it happen. Somebody had to do it. Right? So Krishna, he's a big, script writer. Okay?
Yes.
Many things, it's the only thing I can think of to explain because it's very mysterious. Okay, anyone else? Comments about
It
the
is said,
Bhagavatam? So
it is
far
said in
you've
the
gone.
Gurudev
Yeah.
said in the paper that Krishna's appearance is bewildering. In the last verse of yesterday, whatever Krishna does is really bewildering. So my question is, when we hear about some great devotees, great personalities come to Krishna consciousness, at a point they stop practicing or they left the movement. Can it be said it is part of Krishna bewildering them?
Yeah. there's always, free will is always there. So if someone becomes proud, then Krishna has to do something to smash their pride. But we shouldn't think, badly of those people.
Somebody's making so much noise on the background.
Where? Haribol, don't make so much noise, Haribol. Hari? Yeah. This microphone fixes that. So all of us have taken up Krishna consciousness and gotten to a certain point and given it up. Now we're very fortunate that in this life, after birth and, not always a most pious devotee family, we're able to contact Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And hopefully this time we can stick with it. Okay?
Yes, Gurudev. Ganesham, you unmute yourself. You have something to say?
Thank you. Thank you.
Ganesham Prabhu, you want to say
Yes,
something?
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I had no question, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any comments, realizations about Srimad Bhagavatam? Because we've been going over now 7 chapters already. So what is your feeling and experience?
This is my second class. This is my second class from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I had not attended any class of Africa. I was away from
Who gave class yesterday?
Rukmani Mother Rukmani.
Who gave? Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Where are you, Maharaj, now currently?
I'm still in Bali, Indonesia. I'm going to New York tomorrow.
Okay. There is a Rath Yatra in New York this Saturday or Friday.
That's right. That's why I'm going. Well, I'm going there.
That's a miracle. If they got a permission, first such parade in a country.
Yeah, New York is pretty wide open now.
We have another question from Astono Dina Valaba. Please unmute.
8, 6, 6. Please have a seat. Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Thank you.
It is always said that one's desires and ambitions develops according to the company one keeps. It is often said that a man is known by his company. And if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. For those of us who are householders, we only have the opportunity to go to the temple only on Sundays. Please, how is it not affecting us in some way? I don't know how to put the question, but it seems we are at a disadvantage because we only have the opportunity to go to the temple once a week. That means on Sundays. So how can we develop in terms of association with devotees?
Well, now we have, this kind of association, which has got a lot of advantages and some disadvantages. But if we keep we have to be strong no matter where you are. Some people live in the ashram and fall down. They don't chant their rounds. They think just work all day, or they're criticizing other devotees. So, you know, when we just try, okay, I want to chant the holy name. So at least if you can go once a week, that's pretty good. And some people can never go, you know, once a year. But chant your rounds, you're doing, associating with Krishna. We have Prabhupada's books associating with Prabhupada. I know I feel myself, we need to associate live kirtans and strong separation, then Krishna will provide us with more facility. If we take it for granted or we don't really care about it, then we take it away for a while. So we have to pray a lot and find, you know, like nowadays we can associate with anybody we want practically online. You know, it doesn't cost anything. Everybody's already online anyway. So, you know, that's what we have to do, is make connection with the devotees. There's so many kirtans and classes and festivals online, and we can join them. So you can go anywhere in the world practically. Just be careful, because whatever you go for online, there'll be all kinds of other things offered up to you. You know, we're looking for Krishna, and there's one Krishna, then there's one, you know, movie clip, and then there's this, and then there's that, you know. But just pray to Krishna and keep trying. Okay? Where are you? Where does that devotee?
Dina Valaba, where are you?
I'm in Accra, Ghana.
Where?
Media Temple.
You
Accra.
live in the city?
Media.
Yeah.
Media Temple, Accra.
You don't live near? You live in Accra City, or you live in Media?
Accra City, about 10 kilometers from the temple.
The other devotees that live anywhere near you, try to make some home programs. Make some new devotees. The Prabhupada went to America all by himself. Amazing. And he was so much wanted devotee association, he made devotees. Made hundreds of thousands of devotees. Desire. That's what we need to do. Okay, thank you.
Yes, good. We have two more questions. Sahadev Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, good to see you. Thank you so much for blessing us.
Sahadeva. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, my question has to do with Krishna's qualities. As aspiring devotees, we try to emulate the qualities of Krishna. And we see from Mother Kunti's prayers that she keeps glorifying Krishna. And Krishna is happy listening to all this glorification. Meanwhile, Krishna's pure devotees do not want to be glorified. Why this contradictory situation? Hare Krishna.
I don't think that's contradictory, but Krishna likes it when devotees are glorifying him, because that's good for the devotee. He doesn't need it. It's not like if someone's glorifying me and I'll be thinking, yes, this is a good person. He knows what he's talking about. And finally, I found somebody who knows great soul. Krishna, all these bhaktas, because those Bhagavan didn't. He didn't.
10 o'clock.
In LA one time, I was fairly new, and they had kirtan after class. Prabhupada always had kirtan. And there was one devotee, Sukadev, and he was sitting right next to Prabhupada with the harmonium. And he was chanting, Jai Prabhupada, Jai. And I thought, Prabhupada won't like that. Prabhupada won't like that. My mind, I was thinking, and then I looked at Prabhupada and he was smiling. He was so happy. He was looking down at him, really happy about it. Because we need that. We need to glorify the pure devotees, and that's glorifying Krishna.
Next question again is from Narayani Devidas. Narayani, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. I have another question which is bothering me, and I want to know. When in the Bhagavad Gita, when the Brahmana whenever the Brahmana has a son, then the son will vanish. Whenever the Brahmana has a son, then the son will vanish. And Arjuna vowed to get the son for the Brahmana. And Arjuna didn't succeed. So when he's about to kill himself in the fire sacrifice, said he will kill himself in the fire, and Krishna stopped him. So when Krishna stopped him, and Krishna said, okay, I'll help you. So when they were going to see Vishnu, because Vishnu wanted to see Krishna. So when they were going to see Vishnu, my question is, I want to know whether they went to see Vishnu in Vaikuntha, or where did they see Krishna and Arjuna went to see Vishnu? But I want to know why. Is it Vaikuntha, or where did they saw Vishnu?
Mahavishnu. They went to Mahavishnu outside the universe, outside of our universe, but in the material universes. It's Mahavishnu. Karanadakashaya Vishnu.
And then another one. So in this case, Arjuna went to the heavenly planet with his material body, and went to Mahavishnu to see to see Vishnu with his material body too, face to face.
Who did? Arjuna?
Yes.
Whatever he did, Krishna arranged it so that it was, he was protected.
Oh, okay. So in this case, does it mean the Pandavas has their spiritual body in the material world? They were using their spiritual body in the material world.
No, well, the Pandavas, they were something really special. They're not exactly, Prabhupada said they're not from the spiritual world. They're always with Krishna in the material world, but they were, they couldn't be killed actually. People were trying to kill them, but they couldn't be because they come from the heavenly planets. So it's not easy to explain, especially when we don't know. But
Thank you, Gurudev.
all right, so don't worry. Just remember, you have a material body. You're a spirit soul in the material body.
Okay.
And you want to get out of it, right?
Right.
Our next question is from Saleka Prabhu.
Okay.
Maharaj, please kindly accept my obeisances, those Prabhupada. Maharaj, my attention is drawn to one of the sentences in the purport. Srila Prabhupada said, in the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representatives to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness. And my question now is, we see that as Kali Yuga advances in today's democracy, people generally actually do not even have the power to, although it is called democracy, people does not have. Positions are bought by capitalists, people who have powers, who have money. So could it be said that it is the citizens' fault still that they are suffering? Because in any case, they were not, although there is supposedly democracy, but they were not. And we see this even happening sometimes in religious organizations and spiritual organizations, that some people are, someone is democratically put in position, but it doesn't, it is influenced by power, money in some cases. So my question is, could it still be this fault of the led for such a leader?
Yeah, it's but still the people vote for somebody, you know, but not everybody votes for whoever is in office. Like in America, the winning guy usually has like 48% and the loser has 44% or something. You know, it's very close. But people, it's just, again, part of the trick. So I probably said demon crazy. People are just being cheated all the way. That it creates this so-called democracy, make people think that they have a choice, but they don't. But then we have to go deeper than, and then understand karma and why we're caught up and why we're in such a situation and so many things, you know, which we can't really sort out all the details of the past, and at least I can't. But we have to understand it's so complicated. So ultimately, we're responsible because we voluntarily came to this material world. Like when Krishna says, you know, if you return to spiritual world, you don't have to come back again. He doesn't say you can't come back again. You don't have to. Like if you go to the heavenly planets, you have to leave. Your time runs out and you have to leave, no matter how well behaved you are in the heavenly planets. But when you go to the spiritual world, you don't have to fall. You don't have to leave. You can, but you can voluntarily. You have a choice. So if you still want to exercise your free will again, and you think, let me try again, you can leave. So we're here, you know, trying to exercise our free will, and we get caught up in so many things.
Thank you very much for that.
But still, we should blame ourselves for no matter what our condition is. Why are we in this condition? It's not the fault of the dictator or the bad government or the good government or anything. It's our own fault why we're in this place at this time. All right. Thank you. A lot of questions today.
We have one more question from George Amega. Dr. George,
Okay.
unmute your mic.
Okay.
Marriage, I would like to know here in Ghana and media yet to be precise. And not quite a long, we have a change of temple president. And in the bookshop, there are so many books and stuffs over there. So after change of administration, I went there and those items are no more there to be found. So based on my inquisitiveness, I learned the former administration have taken those things, claiming that those things are their belongings. So, Maharaj, I would like to know, is there any check and balances whereby if you have a temple president and is living, you can be able to check him as to those things that he is claiming that belongs to him is actually the belongings or the property of the temples. So I would like to know, is there any check and balances in place whereby we are not using it? That's what I wanted to know, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
There's supposed to be, that's why everyone's supposed to take this oath of allegiance, you know, that Prabhupada wrote himself. Every leader is supposed to take this vow that I will not claim anything that, you know, even though I might have been a little bit responsible for getting it, I won't claim it as mine if it's because we're getting it on behalf of Krishna. So there has to be some enforcement. That's why we have national council and regional council, and someone has to report it and try to deal with it. But it would help, see, if they signed this oath of allegiance. I haven't tried to enforce that enough, but everybody should sign that. And then you say, look, you wrote here, you promised. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about or what the stuff was. And, you know, can't get into it now in the middle of a class, and, you know, work out the details.
Thank you, Gurudev, for a nice class.
Yeah.
There's no.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No more question. We ask devotees to unmute yourselves. Let's chant
How
Hare
are things
Krishna.
in Germany?
It's opening up little by little, but it's likely to open fully in summertime from next month. But
Okay,
then
good.
to fly, you need to get 2 times vaccination to be able to board the flight.
You have to get what?
The vaccination, 2 times.
Vaccination. Oh, okay.
Yeah, to be able to board the flight, they give certificates to fly.
Okay, we're going to chant a little bit. Get the vaccination
Hare
against
Krishna,
mine.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,